What's going on, everybody? It's Blighters, and welcome back to the beta. So, we got a update to our talent tree. So let's just dive into it. There are, for me, some good things and some things that are still pain points, still problems. So, what changed? Okay, they broke up Soul of the Forest and Blood Frenzy. They moved Soul of the Forest up. They moved Survival of the Fittest up. They moved After the Wildlife and Guardian of Valoon. They moved up. They moved the Moonfire stuff down in its place. They also split apart Ursock's Fury and Dream of Cenarius. They changed Ursock's Endurance to a 1-point node. I think it was Vulnerable Flesh they put at a 2-point node. One of these they changed as well. I don't remember which one, but that's because I don't do Moonfire Mall stuff. So, okay, so what does that do for us? Well, not much, but it does. All right, let's get to the good things, right? Splitting up Soul of the Forest and Blood Frenzy, definitely a good thing, right? That way you can take both, as you can see right here. This is the Mythic Plus build that I've been kind of running. And now I have both Soul of the Forest and Blood Frenzy. Blood Frenzy will give you much more rage, so you can use much more, like a lot more Iron Furs, and even Mauls at some point, because you're going to have too much rage to know what to do with, right? You're just going to be like, I have so much rage. So you'll probably hit Maul at some point, because hitting another Iron Fur is just pointless at that point, right? The Soul of the Forest moving up, that means your Mangle healing from your 4 set is going to be bigger. And that also is better rage generation. I wish these were reversed. I wish Blood Frenzy was up here and Soul of the Forest was down near the bottom. Moving the Moonfire stuff down here, sure, I guess it's fine, whatever. Survival being over here, that's nice because it's not mandatory now. Sometimes you want it, sometimes you don't. You don't have to take it. The same with like After the Wildlife and Guardian of Valoon. They did buff After the Wildlife, so you see how it heals right now for 14k. It still costs 200 rage. I don't. Maybe in raid fights, maybe. I'd be interested to see how much healing it does, like per raid fight, but Mythic Plus, you'll just never take it. Yeah, so this is kind of the build that I've been kind of playing around with since the new since the new changes to the tree. But what does it do for our gameplay? It doesn't really do much. Doesn't really change much. In an AoE situation, it doesn't really change much at all. This is, I still think, what you're going to be playing for the majority of the time in Mythic Plus. This gives you, Convoke as a 1-minute CD. Then you also have a 1.5-minute CD. You have Berserk as a CD. You have Survival Instincts. You have Bark Skin. Like, you have a lot of defensives and things that you can use as defensive CDs to kind of smooth out damage throughout the dungeon. Plus, you'll be getting more healing with your Mangles. And Mangle healing is actually a lot anyways right now, so there it is. There are some few points that you can take. Like, you don't necessarily need to take the Unchecked Aggression. You can put that in something else if you want. If you want like another Survival Instincts. You don't have to take Soul of the Forest, right? You can put both of those in Survival of the Fittest if you want. There are definitely things you can change. But then I also have, we'll go down to what I think is going to be close to the single target build for raid. I'm not sure about survival, but you'll probably still use it. But I'm interested to see Dream of Cenarius, because now it doesn't sit with UF. So Dream of Cenarius and Protector of the Pack in this build, where you kind of shift into. I don't think you'll use these regrowths on yourself. You'll probably use them and hold on to them and just toss them out at other people. I don't necessarily think you'll use them for yourself, which also means I don't know how useful they'll be in raid. I could see at like some points maybe somebody has to soak you have this like huge uh regrowth that you can just toss at somebody or just toss it out to like random people. Toss it on yourself if you really need to. But this is the maul build. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're just mauling and getting your absorb shields. I went with rend and tear because in the single target build, like you don't care about your thrash damage. You would rather the 6% increased damage. So your mauls hit harder, right? You have the whole maul package. You still have some of the Moonfire. I mean, you have like Skindling Moonlight and Galactic Guardian. You don't have like the other Moonfire package. You don't have Circle. You don't have Convoke or anything. This is kind of what came to my mind after the changes. I don't think you necessarily need Survival of the Fittest, which gives you 2 more points. So you can kind of put those into like where you kind of things you want. Maybe you want like an innate resolve and another improved, like the improved survival instincts instead. Maybe you want blood frenzy. I don't know if you're gonna necessarily need it. Maybe you want more moonfire damage. Maybe it's a two target fight, so you want like twin moonfire maybe. I don't think you'll use pulverize because you want to keep the 6% up, the 6% damage, but pulverize could be an option. Maybe there's like one super hard hitting thing every 45 seconds and you can just get 35% reduced damage on it. So maybe that's a thing at some point. But I don't necessarily. I think pulverize is in a weird spot because rend and tear is a thing, and I think rend and tear just makes pulverize not good. In most cases, there are some cases where like you'll want the boosted for like that 10 seconds, but I still think rend and tear is just flat, just gonna be better in more cases than pulverize. Would I call this a rework of the tree? Absolutely not. They moved some things around. There's still a lot of problems. So I guess we'll go into like the problems I still have with the tree, right? The connecting nodes, right? If you take innate resolve, how do you get over to unchecker like to persistence without going down this side of the tree, right? You can't get over here by going like point, right? Because everything funnels you to the middle of the tree, and none of these, even at the bottom, connect. Right? So you don't have any connectors here. So you can't go like here, down to here, down over to here. You have to go over here and then start going down this side of the tree, which eats up a lot of points. You know, your builds are kind of restricted by that. There's still like Ursox Endurance, I still think is not a good talent. I still think infected wounds should just be part of Mangle and Maul, not a talent we need to take. I really wish they would buff this. I don't even know if they need to buff it. If just reduce the rage cost by, I don't know, 40-ish maybe. Make it every 4 Iron Furs. Maybe that's a little bit better. Make it 3 Iron Furs maybe. I just don't think it does enough to warrant a talent point. I still want to see more connectors. I don't think rend and tear should be a capstone. I don't know. Maybe it's good. Maybe if you put some more connectors. I just think. I think Guardian is just uninspired, right? It's basically plays the same. It basically has played the same since its conception in Vanilla WoW. There's not really been a lot that's changed the way that the tank plays. And like, it's fine to have Guardian be your entry level tank, right? But there also should be some complexity to it. You should be able to play a very basic kind of, you press Maul and Thrash, and that's how you tank an Ironfern, you know? But then another layer to it that adds a little bit more complexity that you can play off of. Because then you don't have to take that as a newer tank. You can take all the easy stuff, and then you can just go in there and swipe and thrash around like you do now, and then you'll be fine. But then some of us who've been playing Bear for a very long time are like, this class is very stale. It's, especially if you branch out and you play any of the other 5 tanks, and then you look at Guardian and you go, what do you actually do? You know what I mean? Or at least that's how I look at it, right? I very much enjoy my Guardian Druid, and I will be playing them in off time, like I've said before. Like, but for my raid, just because they don't bring anything to the raid that the Boomkin in my raid doesn't bring and the rest of Druid doesn't bring, there's no point for me to bring my Guardian Druid, right? So I've opted to bring something else to raid, and then in my off time, I'll be doing keys and probably doing alt raids on my Druid. And just because the class to me is very stale, and it's been like that for a while, and I really was hoping that they were going to shake it up with the talents, and it seems like they did enough shake up with the other tanks and then just didn't with Guardian. And then when I was raiding the other night, one of the people in my guild, one of the other raiders, was like, oh, they did a Guardian rework. I immediately grabbed my phone, started looking through, and I was like, this really isn't a rework. They just moved a few talents, right? I think it was like five talents, right? They split this, they moved this up, they moved this up, they split these apart, they moved these down here, they split these apart. Yeah, you can't call that a rework, because it's not a rework in my opinion. I don't know. I guess we can have more of a discussion. Maybe they see this, I don't know, maybe they see the discussion on the forums and they're just like, I think really at this point, Guardian just needs a full rework. It needs a reimagining of what being a Guardian Druid is. What is the fantasy of a Guardian Druid? Because not only what is the fantasy of a Guardian Druid, what is the fantasy of a Druid that is a tank, right? Because we're Druids first, and then we're the tank spec. And I think that's how classes should be designed, with the class in mind, and then into the specialization, right? We're a Druid, that's a tank. We're not a tank, that's a Druid. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling now. Class tree, I anticipate it'll probably get something, maybe, if not. Overall thoughts, just kind of a TLDR. There are some good things, right? Moving some of the talents up was fine. Appreciate it. I do enjoy it, but like, it's not a rework. You kind of just trying to do things to appease people, to say, look, we worked on Guardian Druid, when you know you didn't. That's kind of where I am right now. Yeah, I guess we can talk about it more in the comments. We'll like discuss it a little bit more, but that's all I got today, guys, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.